Hi there again, everybody. Welcome back to Prestige Auctions. Something a little bit different for you for tonight's video. And it's almost like a tutorial to, are you a, how can I put it? Are you an auction virgin? Have you never been to an auction before? What's putting you off going to an auction? Well, lots of people talk to us lots of the time about how it's their very first time at auction and how they was very nervous about going. And there are a few important things to remember about going to an auction. Now, this is only advice. Not every auction room is the same. Not every auction room is as friendly as Prestige Auctions in Grimsby. We must say that because I've been to lots of auctions across the country, and the response that you get from different auctions at different places in different areas can be extremely different to what you might expect or to what you get used to. So how can I put it? When you come through the doors at Prestige Auctions, you're going to get automatically hit with absolutely loads of stuff that's around you. Now, once you start coming to the auction quite often, you'll soon realize that the stuff around you mostly is from clearances, some private individuals, some bankruptcy stock, but you'll start to learn that the auction room is often set out in exactly the same way. So, starting at lot number one, you'll be at the front of the auction room, and as you walk around the auction room, you'll go through sort of mixed lots. Then you'll come on to the pine shelves where, you know, there's usually more expensive pottery and the glass cabinets as well. Then you come on to the jewellery cabinet. So the jewellery cabinet will normally be sort of an hour and a half to 2 hours into the auction. Then you go around the back shelves. As you go around the side of the main room, you go up to the pigeonholes, then the side tables, then through down the middle of the room, excluding furniture. Then you go into the pictures, back rooms, and so on. So that format is pretty much followed every single week, unless, of course, something dictates differently, maybe a large piece. So you're going to get used to coming into this auction room week in, week out. Now, some auction rooms will do things totally different. We don't sell our furniture till the end of the auction. Some auction rooms will sell the furniture first, and so on. So that's one of the big differences that will be a challenge for you if you go to different auctions. Great thing is, if an auction room pretty much runs the same format all the time, then you know how to manage your time. So if on a Saturday you want to come to the auction because you don't want to leave commission bids, then you know roughly what time to go. Of course, the other good thing that we do at Prestige Auctions to keep things transparent is to actually show our videos live on YouTube and Facebook. So this means you can just pop onto YouTube or Facebook at any time you like. Right, what lot are they up to? Bearing in mind we do sort of between 170 and 200 lots an hour. You can pretty much work out where you need to be. Well, I've written a little list here today of things that I think you need to understand if you're going to start going to auctions. If you are this auction virgin and you've never been before, let's try and explain to you some of the terminology of the auction. So the first thing is, if you are putting items into auction, let's cover this one off first. So first of all, what is a lot-in fee? Okay, when you speak to most auction rooms, they have what's called a lot-in fee. And this is for every lot that you put in, you'll be charged a fee. At Prestige Auctions, it's £2. At some other auction rooms I know, it's £7. At another auction I know, it's £12, and so on. You need, when you are putting stuff into auction, to ask this question, because I've had a gentleman ring me this morning. He had rang an auction room in Hull today, and he asked what their fees were, and they said it's 23% commission, which is probably the 20% plus VAT, etc. What about a lot-in fee? I said to him, he said they didn't mention a lot-in fee, but then his question was, what are your commissions or what are your fees? So I don't know of many auction rooms that don't charge a lot-in fee that are a decent auction room. So why does an auction room charge a lot-in fee, and what is it? So at Prestige, it's £2 plus VAT, because we are a VAT registered business, so it's £2.40 for every lot you put in. What is a lot? Well, a lot is, let's say you've got a box of books like that, and we put one auction sticker next to it. That's one lot. So that's one auction lot-in fee. Doesn't matter how many items are in it, it's still one lot-in fee if it's one number. However, if that was one book on its own and it was a more valuable book, and we thought that needs to be on its own because it will get a better response, you'll earn more money from it, then that would be one lot as well. So please bear them costs in mind when you're thinking about submitting things to auction. Now, the other thing that you're going to be charged in an auction room like ours is commission. Okay, what is commission? Well, commission is the fee that you pay. It's usually a percentage of what the final hammer price is, and you will pay in our auction room 10% plus VAT, so 12% total. Why is this charged? Well, this is how an auction room makes its money, through the fees that we charge. Remember, we don't own the items. They're not ours to sell. They belong to somebody else. We are selling on behalf of. So at Prestige, we like to think we're very competitive at our 10% commission. So if you sell an item for, let's say, £10, keep it simple. If you sold your item for £10, what fees are you going to be charged? Well, you're going to be charged a £2 lotting fee. So that's £2.40 with the VAT. And then you're going to be charged 10% commission. So another £1 plus another 20 pence in VAT. So your total fees would be £3.60 out of the £10 that you made. We get the £3.60. We have to give some of that to the taxman in the VAT, and then the rest is paid to you as the customer, as the vendor. Okay, so that covers off that's one. So what is commission? How much? We've covered that. Okay, now what I find in auction rooms, and I hear this quite a lot, is the terminology that people use. Sometimes I feel that people get confused. They often get the words reserve and commission, reserve and commission mixed up. What do I mean by this? Well, somebody will come in and say, can I leave a reserve on such and such an item? When what they should be saying is, I want to leave a commission bid on something. A reserve is when you put an item into the auction room. Let's say you put a nice vase in. I'm saying that, so I'm looking at a vase over there. You may know I'm filming this from home today. So if you've got a nice vase and you put it into the auction and you say, well, it's quite a nice vase, I wouldn't like it to go for the minimum bid of £4. I'd like to get a minimum of £20 for that. As long as we as an auction room agree that, or any auction room agrees that, then the commission would be written down as a fixed commission, if you like, at £20, and that would be what the reserve is on the item. So if somebody came to our window at Prestige Auction and said, is there a reserve on that? We can say, yes, there is. Okay, so that's the reserve. So when you're saying to them, well, can I leave a reserve on it? It's not the right terminology. What you want to be saying is, I want to leave a commission bid. Okay, so you are leaving it on commission for the auction room to deal with it on your behalf. Now, Prestige, we have a lovely little printed forms you can fill in. You'll put your details down on the top of it. You'll put your auction bidding number, and then the item number you want to bid on, and what your maximum bid is. Now, how does that work? Well, a good auction like Prestige Auctions will go in at the lowest price possible for you, but other things can change that. For instance, if you leave a £10 commission bid on an item, our minimum bid is £4. So let's say there's nothing else alters it, nobody else has bid, you've left £10, we open up at £4. If nobody else bids, or nobody else leaves a commission bid on it, or there's no reserve on it, you will get it at £4. Some people will say that some auction rooms go in higher end, which I don't think is the right thing to do. However, other auction rooms do things their way. We do things our way. We try and get you at the cheapest price possible, as if you were bidding in the room. But things can change it. If you left that £10 and there was a £10 reserve on it, then we'd have to go in at £10 because that's the reserve on the item. And also, if somebody had left, let's say, an £8 bid on the book, we would probably still go in at your 10 because that would be the end of the bid. So there are lots of things that can change it, but if you need details on that when you come into Prestige for the first time, or if you go into any other auction room for that matter, ask them how it works, because if they're transparent, they will tell you. Okay, so you can, of course, leave your commission bids like we've done, sometimes called pre-bids as well. So, some people say, well, I'd like to leave a pre-bid on there as well. Okay, one of the other things that you need to understand when you come into an auction room as well is that, so for instance, at the start of an auction, I will say, if you're lucky enough to be the highest bidder, there will be a premium of 15% as a buyer, plus VAT added onto it. One of the other things that we also say is items are sold as seen. You are buying what you see. No guarantees are given or implied. Broken down, basically, you are looking at something and you are bidding for it for what it is. Okay, so I don't believe that any good auction room does this to try and deceive people. What you have to understand is that the kind of auction room that we are, and as many auction rooms are house clearance auctions, and that the items that come to us don't belong to us. They've come from house clearance, so we haven't got time to check everything. So what we're saying to you is come in, have a look, ask the questions, make sure you're happy before you either raise your hand in the air or leave a commission bid, because you are buying what is in front of you. It's no good coming to us afterwards and stating to us, well, you know, ultimately there's a piece missing in that jigsaw, I want my money back. It doesn't work like that. That's not how an auction room works. So you need to remember that if you are planning on going to your any auction for the first time, because the auctioneer or the auction room staff are not going to be sympathetic to you saying, I'm not happy. Okay, because you had the chance to look, you had the chance to make up your own mind. Okay, so what else did we have on there? Of course, the other one as well is when you are bidding yourself, there is going to be a buyer's premium. So we've talked about the seller's premium. What is a buyer's premium? Well, again, this is another way that the auction room makes their money. So the buyer's premium at Prestige Auctions is 18% total. So it's 15% commission. That's what the auction room earns. And then there's 20% VAT on the commission, which gives you a round figure of 18% in total. Some people do get and still get confused about this. When they go into an auction room, it will state 15% plus 20 plus VAT. And they will add it up in their head and go, well, 15% and 20% is 35%. It doesn't work like that. It is 15% of the will be added on to whatever the bid price is, plus VAT on the 15%. So that 20% on the round figure becomes 3%. It does make sense, trust me. So you end up paying 18%. Don't get confused and think that'll be 35%, because it really isn't. And we want to be as transparent as possible with everybody. We need to get people going to auctions, whether it be at Prestige or anywhere around the country, to find out that you can get some fantastic bargains out of auctions and buy some really interesting items from auction, but without the fear of going in there and getting ripped off. Okay, the other thing is as well, if it's your first time at an auction, if you are this auction virgin, it is going to be nerve-wracking. There is no doubt about that. It's like anything. You are stood in a room full of other people, and all of a sudden your item's coming up. You see it as an auctioneer. As I sit on the rostrum on a Saturday and look down, you can see the newbies. They stick out a mile because they start getting twitchy, they start getting nervous, some of them start sweating, and ultimately it's just natural. It's just natural to be nervous when you're doing something for the first time. As you get longer in the tooth for coming into auctions, I know people that have been coming to our auction for long enough now, they were so nervous at the start. Now they're chatting away to everybody, they're sticking their hand up in the air while they're chatting and all sorts of stuff. So the nerves will disappear, and it is something that you will get over. But ultimately, if you go to a good auction room like Prestige Auctions in Grimsby, then the people are very friendly and people will talk to you. Be careful in auction rooms. If it's a new auction room to you, there are a few things that you need to be a little bit careful of, and that is people asking you too many questions. I've seen this a lot in my days of buying and selling years ago. People would be asking you questions that come across really friendly, but what they're actually trying to do is find out where your bids are going to be at. What are you going to be bidding at? The reason you have to be careful about this in an auction room is because that person that you're talking to could be the vendor of those items. You don't know this. So if you're a bit loosey-goosey with your tongue and say, oh yeah, well, I'm prepared to go up to 30 quid for that, and he goes, well, that's mine, that wonderful, thanks for that information. Then he goes and tells his friend, well, they're going to go up to 30, go up to 26. So it looks perfectly normal in the room. So be careful in what you're saying when it comes to your bidding. Don't tell people. You don't have to tell people what you're going to bid on. Likewise, you could lie to them. That's entirely up to you. But I think if people are going to be friendly in an auction room, it's great. We promote friendliness and the community spirit at Prestige, but just be careful in what you are saying. And don't be drawn into too many people wanting to do deals. Well, I'll tell you what, I was going to bid on that. If you don't bid on that, I won't bid on this. And then I've watched that happen in the past where somebody's agreed not to bid on something. And then sure enough, when it comes to the item that they're not supposed to bid on, they just bid away or get somebody else to bid. So again, just be careful of those sort of things, and be careful of this one as well. This is it's more of an old-fashioned thing now. It doesn't really happen in auction rooms as much. It certainly doesn't happen at Prestige because we wouldn't have it, and that's dealer intimidation. I've been stood in auction rooms where people have got in other people's faces to try and intimidate them to stop bidding. Now, any good auction room would stop that instantly and boot the dealer out. And I stand by that. And what I will say is I have never been in an auction room where I've seen the auctioneer boot the dealer out. We have at Prestige. We have done it. Based on the fact I don't want people being intimidated by somebody that feels that they own that patch. And you do get that in auction rooms where they think, I don't want new people coming and treading on my toes. So just be wary of that. Don't be worried about it, because again, if you was going to Prestige auctions, it would never happen. Because if it did, the dealer, and I don't care how much money he spends, we had a dealer that came to us at the very start of Prestige who was intimidating, rude, arrogant, thought he could leave his stuff there as long as he wanted and pick it up when it suited him. Anyway, needless to say, he's bad. Okay, and I don't care when some of these dealers go around saying, well, I spend this and I spend that. Not interested. Promote a friendly atmosphere in your auction room. You will be busier in the end. The other thing is this one as well, and I've covered this off in our podcast if you ever watch any of them, and it's what I call straight arm, and it's crazy. Okay, when you are bidding, okay, I always say to this, because my eyesight's not great and auction rooms can be quite big, you're given a piece of paper that looks something similar to that with a number on it. They often call it a paddle in some auction rooms. So on your first bid, like that, a piece of white like that in an auction room is very easy to spot. When somebody goes like that, it's not always that easy to spot. You could have something similar colour behind you, etc., etc. So I will always say to somebody, give me a shout if I haven't seen your bid. But that first, as soon as the auctioneer has got your attention, then you can go to that, because they're watching you at that point. When it's your first bid, make it known. Okay. After that, bid away with a finger or a nod. Please don't do like somebody does. We have one guy that thinks he can just raise an eyebrow like that. Well, I'm never always going to see that. Not every auctioneer is. So just be careful of that. But don't do this. I watch it every single week in the auction room. And all the dealers do is stand at the back of the room watching your arm going, why would they do that if it's an item that you're not interested in? Well, it's because they are going to make you weaker later in the sale. For all they know, you might be wanting to bid on something that they want later on. Well, everybody's cash only goes so far. So if they can make you weaker by you spending more, they will do that. Okay. Or, of course, they could have put the item in and they could just be watching you and like that. Running people up in an auction room is a very dangerous game, because I've watched hands come down as quick as they've gone up, and ultimately you don't want to be the one that's caught out on a bid of £200, £300 and £400 because you're running somebody up and all of a sudden they just drop their arm really quickly and land the bid on you, because you are then obliged to buy it. Okay, so there you go. Just a few bits for you this week for tonight's video to try and give you some auction etiquette. And I think if you follow some of these rules, and if it is your first time at an auction, any auction, then just have a listen to that and understand it. If you've got any questions, then do stick them down in the comments, or feel free to contact us. And certainly do come and see us at Prestige Auctions in Grimsby. You'll get a friendly welcome, nice on-site coffee shop, and lots of friendly faces will always make you feel welcome at our auction room. If you go to different auction rooms, try them out. Let us know what you think. Let us know in the comments if you've had any bad experience at auction rooms. I'm sure lots of people have. And also, if you did enjoy this content, as always, please do feel free to share it, because it does help us a lot. And hit that subscribe button at the top. You'll get lots more information coming from us at Prestige Auctions. So once again, thanks ever so much for watching this one. And we'll hopefully see you all very soon at the auction.